What up, y'all? Streets and Scholars. Alex Alonso, FG, here to bring you guys another banger. What it do, FG?
Man, what's going on with you? How your day going?
Oh man, just technical difficulties, man, is always a challenge,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, it's always a challenge, man.
I feel like I. Oh wait up. Let me let me mute this. Let me mute the live, man. Yeah, I got to get me a technical person here, and shoot, I used to have them, but man, before COVID, I always had people up in the office helping me out, man. Since COVID, man, it's hard to find. It's hard to find good help, man.
Yeah, no doubt. You know how it go. You know what I mean? COVID came, people started doing different shit than from what they was normally doing just to, try to make it. So shit, I feel them, man.
Hey man, I'm still trying to figure out if I'm missing out on all these hoes from the east side of Compton and Linwood you was talking about last week. They're getting
Oh
wiped
shit.
up.
Man, you definitely missed out, homie, because they was around, homie. They still around, you know what I mean? And that's one thing I can't say about the East Side, man. It was when the women was plentiful, man, and some fine ones. So, it wasn't no shortage of them, homie, on the East Side. That's maybe why I didn't venture out too much to Inglewood, because Inglewood has some hoes too. And but yeah, man, you don't have to go far. If you was from the East Side, man, it was plentiful. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
know,
man. I'm sure they everywhere, but
yeah, no doubt. You know.
they everywhere and they for everybody.
Yeah, you got a point there, but at the same time, you got to change your mindset when you out there. It all depends what you're looking for, because in actuality, how many young men, Alex, you know what I mean, or how many men, period, you know what I mean, are looking for actual wives, you know what I mean? Some dudes ain't even looking for wives. Some dudes at 50 still looking to just hook up, you know what I mean? Because maybe they was married before, it didn't work out. Maybe they didn't marry the right person. Maybe they've been in a few bad relationships, and they like, shit, I could do this like this forever until they get old and they need somebody to some assistance, you know what I mean? They need somebody to, you know what I mean, help them to the doctor and help them set appointments and shit like that. Then they gonna wish they could have had somebody. But at the end of the day, man, I don't knock a dude for how he do his.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're in a different time now. We're in the 2000s. We're in the new millennium. Marriage rates are certainly down, and what you're really speaking on is black folks. Really, the marriage rate for black folks is plummeted. It wasn't like that
Right.
50 years ago, So something definitely happened there in the black community where they just said that marriage is probably not an option. But more black men get married than black women, and that's because black men will marry outside their race. They will marry a Latina. They will marry an Asian. They will marry a white girl. Whereas black women, they find it's not as easy for them to marry outside their race. I don't know if it's by their doing, their choice, or by the choices of the men. Man, you ever looked at that?
No, I have, what I mean? But see, I commend the black woman on that, because I'm like them. You know what I mean, Alex? There's nothing wrong with, other races at all. I'm not racist or nothing like that. But I don't date outside my race when I was dating, back in high school or something like that. I might have talked to a white girl or here or there or something. But as an adult, I've never dated outside my race, maybe somebody mixed with black, but I've never dated outside my race. I love black women. I used to like feel a certain way, when the Mexicans didn't want you talking to they sisters or they cousins or they, you know what I mean, because you was black. I used to feel it like it was full on racist. But then as I got older, man, there's nothing wrong with you, wanting to date inside your race. Ain't nothing wrong with it at all. Or marry inside your race and having, black babies, you know what I mean? So at the same time, Alex, I see it's done all the time, bro, but you ain't gonna catch me with no bunny. You ain't gonna catch me with no Latina, even though they fine, but you ain't gonna catch me with them, bro. That's just, I love black women, just, it's enough black women for me to, stay where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, more women for you then, and you get to keep them all. You get to keep all the sisters. But hey, I'm not so sure if the sisters don't date out their race because it's their choice, or it's difficult for white men, Hispanic men, and Asian men to take black women serious. Though that's my whole question.
Well, I don't think it's a hard for them to take serious if they tone some of their bullshit down. You know what I mean? You know, you got to be a strong black man, homie, to deal with some of these, strong black women. You know what I mean? You know, ain't sometimes ain't nothing soft about them. You know what I mean? You know, they good people, they loving people, but at the same time, the black woman sometimes, Alex, is, lightweight aggressive. You know what I mean? And you have to be, that type of dude who want to be able to withstand this kind of, shit that comes from black women. You know what I mean? They get turned up fast. They could be sweet as pie, and then at the drop of a dime, homie, they could turn around and be, your worst nightmare. But you just have to be, and some people just don't want to deal with the black woman, aura. You know what I mean? So I get it, especially other races. Now black men are starting to be like, you know what? Not finna put up with these black women and they bullshit. I'm gonna move on to another race who, caters to what I need them to cater to more, so at the same time, like I say, even though I don't do it date outside my race, but I do understand why dudes are doing it. You know what I mean? They getting tired of the black woman bullshit, but for me, you know what I mean? I'm a just, bring it on. You know what I mean? Bring it on. I'm with it, and so I get it.
Yeah, man, I went to a wedding with my wife. I think that was in 2022. It was a brother. He was getting married to a Mexican woman, and I was like, "Damn, the sisters, they lost another one. They lost another one right there."
Man.
But hey, a lot. I was reading the comments on a couple of our videos, on a couple of our episodes of Streets and Scholars, and people were trying to figure out what is FG. Like he black, but is he Samoan? Is he Latino? Is he mixed? Like people always wondering, black are you? Have you read any of those comments?
Yeah, I see them all the time. But not to mention, I have had people running to me. What's up, Uso? You know what I mean? And I've had people walk up to me, speak full-fledged Spanish, and I'd be like, no habla, and they be like, oh, okay, bro, just go down there. Like they speak full English, and they think I'm, mixed. So I get that all the time. Maybe he got a little, Chinese in him. I didn't heard it all. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, man, I'm gonna have to put a picture of my parents up here, man. You'll see, I'm full on black, I'm just on the lighter side. When I go do my due diligence, you know what I mean, as far as my grandparents and great grandparents, I'm black, bro, black, born in Los Angeles, so I see all the comments, but yeah, I'm black, just a lighter shade, that's all.
So yeah, both of your parents are black, mom and dad, but you had to have at least a grandparent in there that was either non-black or mixed or something. Have you ever done that research?
You know what? My daughter did it. That like that 23andMe and that ancestry.com and things of that nature, and I do down on my father's side. We have a lighter shade, you know what I mean? So somewhere maybe back, don't get me wrong. It's something I believe we all mixed with something, you know what I mean? So I haven't did it, you know what I mean? And, but when I talk to my aunties and things of that nature, you know what I mean? They gonna be like, boy, we black. That, you ain't gonna get, no whole full history out of them. They gonna, boy, you black, boy. That's what it is. Now on my mom's side, my mom is a whole side is a, a dark complexion, and I could trace them down to Union Springs, Alabama. My grandfather and my grandmother was from the same city in Alabama, Union Springs, man. And, I got a million cousins down there, and I'm probably the lightest thing moving, So I get it what they saying, but at the end of the day, man, if it is something in the line, down the line, which I'm sure a lot of us it is, I haven't did the research to check it out,
Well, a lot of people think like I'm. What am I? They're always asking me, "What am I?" And they be like saying, "You light skin, you mix." But I say it all depends on who I'm standing right next to, and if I'm standing next to FG, I'm pretty brown. I'm pretty dark, right? Because you make me look dark.
No doubt. But you're gonna get that. But at the same time, you do have some what nationality you have in your line?
My mom was born in Puerto Rico.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, but I wouldn't know that. You know what I mean? And some people can actually tell, oh no, Alex mixed with, Puerto Rican, or somebody mixed with, and me, I can't tell. I just be like, he black, and sometimes it be a Mexican, and he just be dark. You know what I mean? And so I get it, but at the same time, yeah, FG black, man.
FG black, and he like them
Nah,
black women, and he's got his
no
roots.
doubt.
His roots are from Alabama. That's as black as it gets for the United States, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So that's what it is.
And we got one of our stories that we're going to talk about briefly is from Alabama. That Karlee Russell crazy story. They just did a press conference on Karlee Russell today from Alabama, from a town I ain't never heard of, Hoover, Alabama. The Hoover Police Department just did a press conference. We're going to talk about that, and then we also going to get into three dudes just pled guilty. They pled guilty to killing a cop last year. I'm surprised how fast this case went. It was, I believe, January of 2022, and here we are, just barely into 2020, halfway into 2023, and they pled guilty. I'm gonna ask you why these guys didn't just fight it and take it to trial. And then we're gonna talk about the Tupac investigation, man. It looks like the police in Las Vegas is they investigating this case, and they raided someone's house this morning or last night, and we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna kind of speculate on who we think it might be, and then I wanted to just start off with this article about why so many rappers die. Um, since it's the 50 years of hip hop, there's been a lot of different things being discussed about rap. And this one professor wrote an article about why so many rappers are dying. But really quickly, before we get into it, man, we are on Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart. We're on all the podcast platforms. If you catch us on the day we drop, we do a live. We do a live video as well, but the video won't become viewable until 2 days after we drop the podcast on all the platforms. So if you're catching us live, you're catching the video live, but the video will be available 2 days after the podcast drops. If you're listening to us on Apple, please leave us some questions. Hey, I got a few questions that came in, but we probably hit some questions next week or the following week, but keep them questions coming. Hit us up on Instagram at street.and.scholars. And let's get right into this article, man, on why rappers die young. I wonder if this writer actually looked at other genres of music, and I haven't done the research, but I'm assuming that probably more rappers die than any other artist from any other genre. I don't really hear. We would hear about this, right, FG? If country musicians were getting shot and killed, and if heavy metal or rock and roll artists were getting shot and killed, we would hear about that, right?
No doubt. You know what I mean? But at the same time, Alex, you got to if you take the shot and kill part out the deaths from rappers and other artists or other genres, you'll see that when it comes to drug overdose and things of that nature, then all those things are pretty much even. You know what I mean? Where we come to beat them out at is the gun violent deaths, the gun, the gun deaths. More rappers are actually dying because it's just a lot more rappers, and rappers are, they like rock stars, they taking drugs, they partying, they on tour, they not getting enough sleep, they not getting enough rest, and then when it comes to the drug overdose, like I say, that's average in the music industry, period, and movie industry, period. But when you come to these street deaths, you know what I mean? It's a lot different, Alex, because, now you get into the, where dudes is actually out here, having successful careers, but still out here running and gunning. So, it's definitely a lot more murders in the rap industry. And if it was any other genre, they definitely would be taking it serious and trying to, do a better job at, reining it in. But at the same time, when it's us, they just gonna let it roll. You know how it go.
Yeah, I think back in the day there were more gatekeepers to this thing we call rap and hip hop, where you had to do a demo, you had to have somebody finance you, you had to send it in, you had to know someone that knew someone that knew someone, and it was hard to get into the game. But now, because of the internet, because of social media, because of all this equipment you could just buy in your apartment and cut a demo, there are way more rappers, and there are way more rappers from the streets. Like before, rappers rapped about the streets. Now
Right,
there's
right, right.
rappers are literally from the streets, because I don't think I never believed, but I don't know how the rest of the world believed, but I never believed Ice Cube was really out there gang banging. I never believed Dre was out there gang banging. Maybe some people thought that maybe Snoop Dogg had a little stint of gang banging, but I was never convinced. But these guys were the gangster rappers. Now we have rappers that are really from the streets, that are really involved in the streets, and I believe that's one of the reasons why the homicide rate is a little bit higher amongst rap artists.
No doubt. You're absolutely right. That was well spoken the way you put it. You know what I mean? But Alex, the world thought Ice Cube was, basically the leader of California gangs. Damn near. Love Ice Cube to death. Love his music. But when I actually found, it was crazy, because when I found out, and Ice Cube was doing an interview one time, man, he was like, man, I've never even been, arrested. You know what I mean? I never did no time, or, never did a 30-day, Why some dudes looked at him like, oh, this dude is I commended that dude. You know what I mean? Like, because that ain't, even though he was, putting what we wanted to hear, or the life that we was living out there on songs, man, you ain't always got to go through the bullshit, man, in order to, to be somebody. He definitely from LA, man. He definitely a staple, he definitely an icon, a legend, you know what I mean? And the West Coast Don. But like you say, these dudes nowadays are really in the trap. They really moving the bricks. They really popping their pistol. You know what I mean? And if you'd even take a dude like, YNW Melly, you know what I mean? Successful dude, just was coming up, I believe millions of dollars was on the horizon for him. And now he's accused of, killing a couple friends. You know what I mean? So these dudes was really out there, putting that work in, but then going up in the studio making these raps, man. And that's where it changed. Run DMC and all that, man. They was going to battle rap you, maybe have a scrap or two here and there, but this shit is way different now.
Oh yeah, man, it's way different. But one of the things that this article hit on, which I thought was also important, was the number of rappers that are dying from diabetes, cancer, and preventable health related issues. Let me just name a few off here, because this list is long and extensive of artists that died when it was preventable, such as Big Pun, of course. He died from being overweight. We have rapper Black the Ripper, KMG the Illustrator, DMX, Big T, Tweety Bird Loke, Black Rob. They died of heart attack. Heavy D died of a health related issue back in the he was only 44. Prince Marky D of the
Right.
Fat Boys, he died of heart failure. Craig Mack was 47 when he died of heart failure. Phife Dawg from A Tribe Called Quest was 45. Biz Markie was 57, and he died from diabetes. So although this article talked about the violence that has plagued hip hop, there's quite a lot of artists that are dying from preventable diseases, man. And it also Big Y wasn't mentioned in this article, but Big Y, we just lost him from probably a preventable disease. I believe it was diabetes, man. So I think that was a interesting part of the article as well.
No doubt, man. And all those people you name, they definitely were health issues, Some of them, though, I could say the DMX is, doing drugs for a long time, the poisonous lifestyle he lived, like somebody mentioned, Yeah, all those things play a factor. But sometimes with these heart attacks, sometimes those could be drug related, but sometimes, man, it's just you got a history of these things. You got a history of diabetes. You got a history of, of heart attacks in your family, or congestive heart failure. You know what I mean? Some of these things are hereditary. Some of these things are from poisonous and bad choices in their lifestyle. So yeah, these dudes are dying young, but at the same time, I'm wondering how many of these deaths in that nature can be prevented. Once you get out there, man, like I say, they living like rock stars, man. These dudes ain't drinking water. They going on stage. I believe somebody just You know, I was on stage the other day and damn near passed out, fainted or something. You know, this shit is happening because people not taking care of themselves, but it's also at the same time some of these designer drugs or some of these things they doing to stay up 24 hours and 3 days so they can do shows and not taking care of your health. Some of this shit is really just hereditary that you know you probably couldn't prevent if you wanted to. You know, so but like I say, you know, it's definitely if you look at the old school rappers, they died, you know, but if you look at the new school rappers, they getting murdered, you know. So it is a difference. It is a different culture change, you know, and some of these young rappers not living long enough for us to see if they would, you know, did have some kind of, you know, kidney problems, liver problems, heart problems, you know, because they get knocked off 20, 21, 23 years old. So, you know, it's just unfortunate, man.
This is the author of this article is A.D. Carson. He's a professor. He's a professor of hip hop at the University of Virginia, and he recently dropped this article about rappers dying young. I'll put a link to this article in the show notes. I thought it was very eye opening, especially the health part of it, man, because I think the health part, a lot of this health stuff is preventable, and it would definitely reduce the death rate of rappers. But another interesting part of the article before we move on is that in terms of the ones that are murdered, it was interesting to read that the record sales of the artists that are murdered usually skyrocket to 4 and 5 times more than the rate that they were selling in the first place. So I don't know what that's all about. We're more interested in listening to dead or murdered artists' music rather than listening to them alive. And of course, I'm sure the headlines of them being killed makes us more aware of them. I had never heard of PNB Rock before, but I didn't go rush to go download his music either. But I'm sure a lot of people did that, and I guess that's part of the culture.
No, no doubt, you know what I mean? But it's also a part of the, you know, the situation of people putting themselves in certain beefs for fame. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it was coming up when if you wanted to be known, you know what I mean? You was gonna take a shot at Jay-Z, you was gonna take a shot at DMX, you was gonna take a shot at certain people just to get your name out there. You know, even if they murdered you, you know, on the lyrics on the back end, you know what I mean? You know, it was gonna get you known and people was gonna, you know, so it's the same way. I had never heard of PNB Rock. It's a whole lot of rappers, you know, that I don't hear of until, you know what I mean? I actually hadn't heard of King Von, you know what I mean? But I did go back because of my son and listening to King Von music. And, you know, I like some of it, you know what I mean? So, so in actuality, Leah, like you say, you know, some of these dudes get knocked off, people go run and check out their music. That's in every genre. But at the same time, man, you know, it's still a tragic thing. You know, dudes out here trying to get their bread, trying to, you know, make some money for your family, because that's what it really was supposed to be about. A lot of these dudes, man, you trying to go out there and get the money. You know what I mean? A whole lot of these dudes, if it wasn't for the money, you wouldn't rap. If wasn't no money in it, it was just a hobby, you probably wouldn't even do it, you know. So it's a way to get money. Everybody know entertainment is the way to get fast millions, you know. So but at the same time, man, they getting themselves into situations or jealousy within they clique or crew or they homeboys or somebody that ain't got into. Most of the time, Alex, is jealousy, man. Somebody gonna come knock you down because you got what they don't have, or you didn't look out like they felt you supposed to.
Hey man, I think there's too many of us brothers out here aspiring to be rap artists when we could be aspiring to do some other stuff. And we shouldn't chase that fast money because that fast money ain't always good money. It ain't long money. That fast money is mostly short money. But yeah, man, I'm disappointed. I meet a rapper almost every day, man, when I'm out here in these streets, man. And everyone wants to spit bars and everyone is trying to get on YouTube. And there's just too many other things that we could aspire to be, man. And I think a lot of us is caught in this trap, man, this rap trap. And even when it comes to sports, you know,
Mhm.
it's either entertaining or dribbling a basketball, man, and we a whole lot more talented and we're smarter than that. And I think the society has just told our people that that's all we good enough to do, man.
Well, at the end of the day, you know, I look at it like this as well, though. You know what I mean? If you talented, you know, if you can go out there and run up couple 100 million, like say John Morant, you know what I mean? Man, go out there, run that money up, man. So you can, you know, that's a lifetime of money for you, your family, your grandkids, grandkids. You know what I mean? Go out there and get it. You got to think, man. Our grandfather broke their back, Alex. You know what I mean? Plowing in fields and doing all kind of crazy jobs in order to keep a roof over our parents' head. Wasn't no glitz or no glamour to it. You know what I mean? They didn't have no hell of a life. They didn't ride Harleys and drive lowriders and shit. And they was strictly, man, just taking care of their family because that's all they could afford to do. So now you get a generation to where you can get out and go make, millions upon millions. You know what I mean? My whole thing about it, and I know it's their money, they can do what the fuck they want to do with it. But at the same time, man, put some of this money to good use, buy land, buy property, put your family in a certain situation, bro. And not all the floss and, you know what I mean? And things of that nature, man. That's my whole thing about with them going to run out this money. Do some good with it. Not just showing somebody, if you got millions and millions of dollars, you wearing Gucci don't impress me. You know what I mean? We know you can buy that. We know you could afford that. Don't impress me because you got a Gucci backpack and you worth $100 million. That don't impress me. You know what I mean? So my whole thing is if maybe you do live a short life, but if you did and you went out there, man, and you put some money in a trust for your family, you put, 50 million, 10 million in a trust for your family, and something was to happen to you, man, you made some good decisions with it. You know what I mean? You did something good for your people not to have to struggle as hard. So that's my whole thing about it. If dudes living a fast life and running up to millions, make some good decisions, man, so your family on the back end can be took care of.
And they only got 400 job applications in the NBA. There's only 400 seats for,
no doubt.
For what about I don't know, let's say thousands and thousands and thousands of kids across the country are trying to get those 400 seats. All right, man. Let's
Hey, Alex, I gotta I don't know if these people want to be even acknowledged, man, but I gotta acknowledge these people, Ron and Maddie. Every time we do Streets and Scholars, man, they always send a few dollars, man, in their appreciation and say they love the show, man. They love what we doing on Streets and Scholars and over here in FG Unleashed, man. And I just maybe they didn't even want to be acknowledged, you know what I mean? But I just felt, you know what I mean, it was that I would, because, man, they always look out, and I appreciate it, man. You know what I mean? I really do.
Oh, man, definitely, man. I appreciate all the listeners on the podcast. Hey, I want to move on to this next story here, because this was a big story last year in January. This was before we actually started the podcast. I think we started in February, right? Did we start in February?
Yeah, we started in February.
Yeah. So this LAPD officer got shot and killed. He was off duty. Let me say that he was off duty officer that got shot and killed over in LA. I'm going to play this quick clip, and we're going to talk about what happened to these guys that got arrested for it shortly thereafter. But it's been it was a huge story when it happened, and then it just kind of went away. Let me play this quick clip here. Here we go.
And go back to a story that I actually broke to you right here on Live Now from Fox yesterday. Several people have been detained in the shooting death of an off-duty LAPD officer in South LA. This is video that we brought to you yesterday of the procession as his former colleagues brought him his body, his flag draped casket, to the medical examiner's office. It was quite a somber moment there. Meanwhile, we're also learning more about the young officer who had a promising future. He was allegedly with his girlfriend when all of this happened. So Mario Ramirez is outside of the LAPD station in the Pico Union neighborhood, joining us live with more details on this investigation. Mario, this was such a heartbreaking story that we brought our viewers yesterday. So what are we learning as this investigation has progressed over the last 24 hours?
Yeah, well, we know several people have been taken into custody for questioning. No official charges have been filed, no official arrests, but we are waiting for more information on that. Meanwhile, it's really been a tough week for local law enforcement and first responders. Last week, we were talking about an LA County firefighter who died on the job during a house fire, and now this off-duty LAPD officer who was shot and killed during an alleged attempted robbery in South LA. And we're at that police station where he was stationed here in the Pico Union neighborhood, just west of downtown LA, We'll show you his picture here. 27-year-old Fernando Arroyos. He was a 3-year veteran with the LAPD, shot and killed Monday night in a South LA neighborhood while with his girlfriend looking at a home they were interested in buying. Before, the couple was targeted by at least 3 men in a black pickup truck in what authorities describe as an attempted armed robbery.
All right, I'll stop it there because what I wanted to talk about is this officer, Arroyos, was allegedly house shopping in his neighborhood off of Florence. I mean, I don't know if it's not his neighborhood, but he was in the Florence neighborhood, but he was house shopping at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. This is when he got shot. This is when these guys robbed and shot him. And I just always found that bizarre that someone would be house shopping at like 9 p.m. at night when it's clearly dark. Do you remember this story at all from a year ago?
I don't. Yeah, I don't actually. I read about it, but no, I don't remember specifically.
Yeah. So when it was reported that he was house shopping, a lot of people thought that there's something fishy going on here. Who the heck house shops at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night? And what was really going on with this officer who was with his girlfriend when he got robbed and shot and killed by some gang members allegedly. But here's the thing: three gang members were just pled guilty. Luis Alfredo Rosarios, Ernesto Cisneros, 24 years old. Luis is 29 years old, and Jesse Contreras, 35 years old. All pled guilty to killing Officer Fernando Arroyos. And my question is, why would these guys plead guilty on a case where they're going to get stretched out on? Why not make the government take them to court? This is a federal case, by the way. Why not just say, hey, take me to trial? You know, why plead guilty to murder? Because you know you're going to you're not getting a deal pleading guilty to murder, right?
Well, basically, they damn near did. You know, they probably spared them their life. You know, from what I read, you know that they looking at between, 2 of them is looking at between 35 and 50, and 1 of them is looking at up to 35. So you got to understand, depending if you're 24 years old, Alex, and you get 35 years and shit, you got actually coming back home. You know what I mean? So the feds, you know, they run their shit a little different. You know, they have different guidelines. They have different rules when fighting these murder cases, you know, and it's a lot of people that I've seen in federal institutions with murders, then they didn't have an L behind it. You know what I mean? They just had a whole bunch of time, you know, 40 years, you know. So, you know, so these dudes might have did plead guilty, and that probably was the deal. You know, well, we going to keep it for 2 of them, we going to keep it between 35 and 50. You know, we're not going to give you the death penalty. We're not going to give you a life sentence behind it. So that's why I really believe that they took the time like that, and they took it fast, because it's only been a year. You know, in the state, you fight a murder 3-4 years before you even get to a resolution. Feds came at them swift and fast. You know, look, this what we got. This what we don't have. Here go a deal for 35 to 50. Y'all sign this, or that's what the prosecution recommended, 35 to 50. The judge can give them 27. You know what I mean? So depending on who played what role, depending on, you know, what they know is all the facts, you know, they definitely can definitely took the plea agreement, Alex, based on they might have promised them a range, you know.
Yeah, and this was supposed to be a state case, but the sheriff Villanueva, who was the sheriff at the time, he did not want to take this to George Gascon. He did not want this case to be tried by the LA County prosecutors, because he believed, you know, he falsely believed that George Gascon was just somehow going to give these people, you know, a deal to where they weren't going to go to prison, which is crazy. So he sent this case to the feds, and they picked it up pretty quick, and here we are, 18 months later, and it's pretty much done. They're all going to prison. All 3 of these guys pled guilty, but there's still some unanswered questions on why was this off-duty police officer shopping for houses in the hood at 9 p.m. at night, and I couldn't find that answer addressed anywhere, man. Do you find that bizarre at all?
Well, I'm gonna go back to the first part where you said that they might have didn't want to take it to Gascon and shit, but they probably would have got an L if they took it to the state. They might have been better off taking it to the state, Alice, because they probably could have got 25 with an L on it. A lot of times you get that L nowadays, man. It's hard, very, very hard to come home from it, you know. When you go to the feds and you don't get that L, you got a date. You know what I mean? You know, like I said, if the 24-year-old get 35, he got a date. You know what I mean? He go do 29 off of it and come home, you know? So I think they would have been better off taking it to the state, you know, from their perspective. Because they probably would have got the L in the state. Now, as far as him out house shopping at 9 o'clock at night, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Alex. When I go house shopping, I do that shit. I go see some houses I want, you know, and what I do is I go back to that neighborhood at night just to see what's going on in that neighborhood. You know, it could have been a situation to see who hangs out. If he finna try to, you know, buy a house where gang members hang out in front of his house or down the street, or it could have been a situation, you know, where a nagging wife, come on, honey, I want to see it again. I want to see it again. You know how the wives get, you know, and he drove out there to see it. So then, you know, but you never know. Why was he trying to move that deep in the hood? I don't know. I understand he want to be a pillar of the community that he work in, but at the same time, bro, you ain't exempt. As you know, some of these officers think they exempt. You know, when you take that badge off, homie, you a regular person in the streets in the eyes of other people. You know, and just like you saw at this moment, you know, they jumped out on you, robbed you. You know how it all went wrong. I don't know. You know, but at the same time, man, you lost your life, you know, trying to move in the hood, because if you wasn't looking for that house in the hood, you wouldn't have been there to get robbed. So, you know, some circumstances of that. It's a reason that people, you know, like myself and like others, we don't live in the hood no more. You know what I mean? You know, we don't give people that action, you know, to just randomly, you know, we try to move in decent neighborhood. And if this dude had any kids, I don't know, he was kind of young, so he made it didn't have any kids. But if he did, Alex, who want to, you know, I mean, you want to raise your kids right there in the hood? You know, I mean, yeah, you could send them to private school, but they can't walk to the store. They can't go out and play in the street. They can't ride their big wheels around the corners without sometimes it being some kind of dangers. You know what I mean? So, you know, you're right. It sounds fishy, but you know, there's many reasons he could have been over there, man, looking at that time of night.
Yeah, man. It says here in this indictment explanation, it says the 3 gang members pled guilty Thursday before U.S. District Judge Percy Anderson, who scheduled sentencing hearings on September 25th for Rios and Contreras and October 16th sentencing for Cisneros. As a result of their guilty plea, each defendant faces a statutory maximum sentence of life in federal prison. Prosecutors have agreed to seek terms of between 35 and 50 years in prison for Rios and Cisneros, and a prison term of 35 years for Contreras. So back to what you were saying, FG, they might have got a better sentence at the feds, because at least Cisneros looks like he's looking at a flat 35.
Right, no doubt. Yeah.
So that means he's coming home, you know, in probably like 85% in 30 years. Whereas in the state, they could have just kept denying him parole for the rest of his life.
No doubt. You know, when that date come in that feds, they're gonna let him out. You know, so yeah, they might have came, and then don't forget, Alex. You know, you've been in read paperwork and been in court and witnessed many murder cases. Some of these murder cases don't be as airtight as people think. They think because you're arrested for murder that these people have all the details. They, you know, you finna get, you know, locked up. But, you know, when we talking about taking a person's life for a murder conviction, you know what I mean? It has to be within a reasonable doubt, you know, and sometimes you don't get that. So, you know, I don't know all the details of how much they knew about this situation. You know, at the end, it seemed like they knew. Maybe they pleaded guilty to that, but in the beginning they probably wasn't saying nothing, and they didn't have a whole lot, you know what I mean? So could have just been a situation where, listen, man, we not even finna, we gonna offer them this, you know, and let's go about our business, because it seemed like they would have been trying to get a, you know, a death penalty or something for a police officer.
Yeah, man. And for those who haven't figured it out, all 3 of these guys, they're from Florence 13. And you know what's funny? When I'm reading this paperwork, it got their nicknames, and it similar to the way when we read your indictment, it says Frank Thornton, aka FG. Like they put your name in your nickname, your street name, in the official government document. So they got Luis Alfredo as Little Malo. They got Ernesto Cisneros as Spooky. And they got Jesse Contreras as Flacco. Like, do they really need to put these names in the paperwork? I just think it's unnecessary, and it doesn't really make a difference.
No doubt, but at the same time, man, they also let you know that they know they just speaking exactly to you. You know, some people have similar names. You know, it's other, you know, Frank Thorntons out there. You know, but at the same time, man, you know what I mean. They gonna make sure that this is you, bro. You know what I mean. We gonna put your real, your government. We gonna put your moniker. You know, we gonna put all that in there, man, and let you know we know what's going on. So, and then not to mention, Alex, you know, like I say, man, we used to see that state of California, you know, Frank Thornton versus the state of California, you know, on your paperwork. You didn't get that scared, you know, but when you see that United States of America versus, you know, and it's your name, man, you be like, damn, I done pissed off the whole United States of America, and ain't nothing to play with, homie. So, but I do think if these guys are guilty and they took that deal, man, I think that was the best thing for them, just to be honest with you. You know, didn't play with these people and end up with a death sentence.
Yeah, man, for sure. It's just interesting how quietly this story has moved forward. It's just so much news. I guess there's not enough time to talk about everything. But hey, man, they the Las Vegas Police Department, it looks like they want to arrest somebody for the Tupac murder, even though it's been almost 30 years? It's
30 years, yeah.
Well, that was 96, so 27 years ago, right?
That's all it's been, 26, 27. Yeah.
I know murder has no statute of limitations, but I'm always I'm of the school that, hey, if it's been 25 years since the crime has happened, people move on, people get families, people get married, they start having kids, they move to another state, they become members of the PTA, they become pillars of the community. Yeah, they made a mistake 30 years ago, but do we really got to punish someone 30 years later? And I guess when it comes to murder, I don't believe there's not a state in the country that has a statute of limitations for murder. So murder is one of those cases that they can come get you when you're 80 years old and still put you behind bars. So it looks like the investigation into this Tupac homicide from 96, it looks like it's picking up some steam, and that there's possible arrest in the very near future.
No doubt. You know, I hear what you're saying about you saying that after so long, but at the same time, man, I still think they should have bust that lady upside her head who did that to Emmett Till, man. They should have, I don't care if she was 106, they supposed should have went, you know, and locked her ass up. But speaking on this Tupac thing, man, yeah, it's been a long time, man, you know, but at the same time, you know, maybe new evidences, they come across new evidence, you know, and maybe, you know, they had the evidence all the time and maybe they just was waiting. You know, murder don't have a statute of limitations. You know what I mean? That's why people who've been in them streets and doing certain shit, when they get on these platforms, you know, it's certain shit you don't say. You know what I mean? You don't implement yourself in certain shit. YouTube and interviews and shit, things of that nature could have played a big part of it. From what I read, they got wind of it when they was watching either a movie or a documentary, and they came across a book. You know what I mean? And Alex, it must have been something in that book that admitted something that they didn't know, because they said until they got the book, that's when they ramped up investigations again. So maybe somebody stuck their foot in their mouth, bro, you know, when they shouldn't have. And now they got a whole situation on their hands.
You know, that's crazy, because that book you're talking about is the book that Keefe D wrote. And the book that Keefe D wrote, according to one of these articles, I guess got the attention of investigators in Las Vegas. And you know what's crazy is that the co-author of that book hit me up before the book came out and asked me if I would be willing to write like a small paragraph or like a one-page blurb so that they can put like on the back of the cover of, you know, supporting the book. So I said, all right, I'll consider it. And I wasn't really, I didn't really want to do it because I felt like Keefe D threw his nephew under the bus when he confessed to Greg Kading about the murders of Pac. So I was like, damn, do I really want to write a paragraph in support of Keefe D's book? So I said, you know what, send me a copy of the book and I'll think about it. And they sent me a copy of the book. I read it. And when I got to a part in that book where Keefe D claims that the reason why they busted on Pac over there on the corner of Flamingo and Colville is because Tupac pulled out a gun. And once I got to that part, I was like, oh, I'm done with Keefe D, because I know that this ain't never happened in 20 plus something years. Nobody ever mentioned that Pac pulled a gun. And I believe that was Keefe D playing strategy, saying to himself, hey, if the police ever decide to come at me, I got a self-defense. I'll just say Pac pulled the gun out first, therefore we shot second. So that's my Keefe D story. And the co-author of that book was a guy named Yusef Jah. And Yusef Jah did an amazing book on gangs back in '95, where he interviewed T. Rogers and he interviewed a whole bunch of gang members. So I was into Yusef Jah's work. So that's one reason why I considered it. But I ended up never doing I never wrote the page for the book.
Right. Yeah, I never read the book, you know what I mean? But I do remember vividly, you know, the night that happened, you know, but yeah, bro, that investigation then picked up some steam some kind of way, Alex, and they basically saying that they, you know, maybe finding somebody to, you know, press some charges against. I don't know who, but sound like somebody is maybe in trouble in the near future.
Yeah, let me play this quick clip, man. This just dropped this morning.
They searched a home Monday as part of the ongoing. Thanks for joining us at noon. I'm Vanessa Murphy. We start with breaking news first from our 8 News Now investigators. Metro Police confirming they searched a home Monday as part of the ongoing investigation into the death of Tupac Shakur, the rapper who was shot and killed 1 block off the Las Vegas Strip in September of 1996. Sources say detectives served the search warrant at a home in Henderson near Interstate 11 and Wagon Wheel Drive. No one is in custody at this time. We'll keep you posted as we learn more.
Well, if you know anybody that lives near Wagon Wheel Drive and Interstate 11, you might be able to figure out who the heck they're talking about. But the police aren't saying any names so far. They're being very secretive about their investigation, but I think it's pretty obvious who they're looking at.
Oh, no doubt. They mentioned a few things that, you know, that line us up to know exactly who they talking about, man. And unfortunately, even the way they worded it in the thing is like, you know what I mean? You know, we just get him on accessory or get him, you know, something such after the fact, you know, man, they want to close this case out and they want to close it with something. So, you know what I mean? You know, they got their eyes on somebody. They got their eyes on a suspect. You know what I mean? They may have their eyes on a few of them, you know, whether it's accomplice, you know, or things of that nature, but they finna put the hammer down on somebody, man. And unfortunately, you know, after 30 years, when you think you're safe, you know, you're not, you know what I mean? So, you know, when dudes jumping on here and they wonder why I talk like I talk, you know, or don't say what I don't say, you know what I mean? You know, you got to be mindful, man, that these people can come back and shit from something you did, a book you wrote, something you said on Instagram and all that shit and use that shit against you, you know? So we gonna see how this play out, man. You know, it's been 30 years, you know, it'll be, you know, for all these years for them to come do something that's crazy, you know, but at the same time, if they just getting some evidence that they looking for, you know, I believe somebody pissed somebody off and made them go back and do some more looking and they just gonna find something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but we got to remember that you still need witnesses when you have a case. Without witnesses, it's very difficult, but maybe the witnesses to the police are going to be the book and his confession. Maybe that's enough. Is that enough evidence? A book you wrote and maybe a confession you made like 20 years ago that they have on audio? Is that enough evidence?
Yeah, no doubt. Ain't no question about it. You know what I mean? You know, what you was doing to keep them off you for all these years, who's to say? You know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, maybe your good graces and shit ran out. You know what I mean? And, you know, you can't help them no more and they don't give a shit about you. You know what I mean? You know, listen, I just seen a video just today. Matter of fact, I was watching Spider Loke on live today. And, you know, he putting up a video of from surveillance inside of a jail cell. Alex, we can't get those. You feel me? So these are the people from these jails or people that work in these jails that's putting these things out. So a lot of these people are going to get exposed, homie, when they think some of these audios is hid and they not. Some of these motherfucker videos is hid and they not. You know what I mean? So, you know, while people sitting up lying and talk about all this shit, you never know what can come out later on from those interviews people doing with authorities. So, you know, man, it's crazy, man, that people think they're gonna get away forever, you know, and they, you know, making statements.
All right, listen to this clip real quick. This is another clip about the investigation into Tupac's murder.
Now at 11, new developments in the decades-long murder investigation of rapper Tupac Shakur. Police warning people to come out with their hands up as they execute a search warrant at a home in the Las Vegas area. This is video just into our newsroom of that response last night. Detectives and prosecutors say they determined they had enough information to proceed with a court-authorized search. Tupac Shakur was killed in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas in 1996 at the age of 25. No one was ever arrested. Tupac has sold more than 75 million records worldwide and is in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Hello, I'm Mark.
All right, that was some interesting footage of the way they went on whoever's block that was to serve a search warrant. It looked like they had like vans, trucks, everything just coming for an old homicide case.
No doubt. You know, they going in there and trying to take anything that can pertain to it, you know, in these situations, you know, especially, you know, phones with details, computers with details, you know, like I say, if anybody was, say, writing a book or telling a story, they getting all that information, man, because, you know, sometimes people do slip, you know. So right now we don't know what they went in there and got, but they if they had a search warrant, they had their eye on something that they went in there and got. Sometimes you put the pressure on the right person, Alex, you know what I mean? You know, you can get some shit up out of them. I don't, like you say, I don't know who house this is. I don't know who relative house this is. But at the same time, man, after 30 years, some people don't want to go. They might have did the time 30 years ago. They don't want to do it today. You know what I mean? So we'll see how this work out, man. It's definitely going to be in the news, man.
Yeah, I think that what they were looking for, well, they obviously ain't looking for like physical evidence connected to the murder. They're not looking for guns, bullets, ammunition, shell casings. All of that stuff is gone. But what I do think they might be looking for are early drafts that he wrote of his book, because he might have had different drafts where he did say exactly how it went down. And maybe his co-author was like, hey, let's rewrite
that. Yeah, no doubt.
So they might have, that's probably the number one thing they're looking for, different revisions of his book before the final revision. And that might be some hell of evidence against him, man. So yeah, I think it's clearly Keefe D. If I don't recommend anyone to dox this brother, but if you know he lives near Wagon Wheel Drive and Interstate 11, then that's who they're investigating right now. And was that video that Spider Lug was talking about related to King Von?
It definitely was, you know what I mean? And I was just shocked on how, you know, like you say, they getting videos of inside of, you know, facilities, you know what I mean? So, you know, I guess for $1, you know, the COs will do anything, you know how this shit go, you know what I mean? But at the same time, man, you know, for all these dudes is thinking that they, you know, police telling y'all they're going to keep it a secret. You know, that shit come out one day, man, and, you know, bite you in the ass.
All right, man. Our last story here is about Karlee Russell from Alabama, and the Hoover Police Department they just did a press conference. I'm sure you probably didn't get to see it. They just did a press conference. I believe the chief of Hoover Police, who was dressed in a nice blazer. I don't think I've ever seen a police officer dressed like that. This officer had on a suit like my man from Shannon Sharp. You know, he was dressed like Shannon Sharp, but they haven't accused her of doing anything illegal yet in this press conference. And I'm talking about Karlee Russell, who claimed that she was kidnapped, and then she popped up at her parents' house a couple days later. The police went over there to investigate, and she's the one that claimed that there was a baby on the side of the freeway that was somewhere between the ages of 2 and 4 on July 13th. But it turns out that there's no evidence to back up her story. They have video cameras on the freeway. They even have a video camera of her on the freeway. There's no evidence that any of this stuff happened. And it looks like the law enforcement is going to be arresting her for reporting a false story in the next few days, man. Did you get a chance to tap in with this crazy Karlee Russell story?
You know, I did, you know, and I started seeing a bunch of different videos and things, you know, even showing my daughters and them, you know what I mean? When you see cones set up in the street or you see certain things in certain area, I mean, if you don't see an actual the city van. You don't see the actual police car. You don't see certain shit. Don't stop for that shit. You know what I mean? Baby on the side of the road. Hey man, so but it was a strange story to me. You know what I mean? Just to see a baby and you jumped out, and now all of a sudden you've been abducted, and then you found Alex. In my mind, it could have went two ways. It could have really went that way. She jumped out and tried to help something and got abducted. Media blew up so much on it that the people said, we don't want this kind of heat, and let her go. You know what I mean? Now they could have saying, now they want to try to say she may be mentally ill. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, man, I don't know the truth. This woman really could have been abducted. And once they found out how much press and much heat was coming, they didn't want to be a part of this and end up letting her go. And she maybe don't remember everything. Maybe they did knock her out. Maybe they did drug her. I just don't know. But it's a crazy story, man. I don't get it. What's your take on it?
I don't believe it, because there's nothing to support it. There's not a shred of evidence. There's nothing to support her story. Her parents are believing her, though. Her parents clearly said that they believe that her daughter was abducted. They got her on video ordering some food from a place called Tzatziki's. She went to Target at shortly before this so-called abduction occurred. She calls 911. Okay, she goes to Target at about 9:24. She calls 911 at 9:34, and then she goes missing at 9:36. And then everything was left in her car. The food from Tzatziki's was left in the car. Her iPhone, the stuff she bought from Target, an Apple Watch, and this infamous wig that everyone seems to put a lot of emphasis on. All of that was left in the car. And then she appears at her place 2 days later. The police go there. They interview her shortly. And they now in the press conference, they said they want to do a follow-up interview with her, and they're not giving the follow-up interview right now. So I don't think it's looking good for her. I don't think her story is matching up with the evidence that the police have. There's no one else that reported a baby abducted. There is no missing baby. And they also said that she has no prior history of mental health. Also, the last thing that just came out in this press conference just today, this just hit, is that she did a bunch of searches. They got all her searches. She did some unusual searches on the internet. She searched Amber Alert. She searched about the movie Taken, which is about being abducted. What else did she search? She searched about Amber Alert, the movie Taken, and about a Birmingham bus station. So the chief of police of Hoover, the Hoover police, are saying that her searches are unusual, and it's pretty clear that the police don't believe her either.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah. See, I didn't have all that information about that. So that's crazy how they could just go in your searches, man. Yeah, I'm just saying that's crazy how they can go in your searches and just see what you was Googling and shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, that story just took me for another loop. You know what I mean? But let me ask you this: what have she done criminal outside of? Now, who called the police? Okay, she called 911. Bam. She somehow found her way home or found her way to her parents' house 2 days later. Yeah. So basically, only thing you got right now was making a false accusation on 911. Is that the only crime that was committed here?
Well, the chief of police was asked that question in the press conference, and he said it's a little too early to go into that. We're still investigating. But yeah, she pops up at her family's house on the 15th, 2 days later, on foot. And she gave the same story that she was kidnapped, she was abducted. She's told a story about a man with orange hair that had a bald spot took her. He was with a woman. She never saw the woman. She just heard the voice. They took her to some trailer that was connected to a truck. She got snatched in the woods. The unfortunate thing is just there's no evidence of any of this happening. So, but
if it's evidence of it not happening though, see the thing about it though, Alex, you down in Alabama, bro. You ain't on, Western or Maine or something. You in Alabama, bro. You know what I mean? And you ain't never even heard of Hoover, Alabama. You know what I mean? So some abductions can go down so easy in some of these places. I've been in these Tennessee, certain parts of Utah, man, where it ain't nobody out there. You know what I mean? And I ain't saying Hoover ain't a city or nothing like that, but it ain't like Los Angeles, But on the flip side, I believe she could have been abducted. Now it just takes me for a loop when you get to talking about the searches. The taking, the this, that, the other. I just don't know what would she be trying to accomplish by saying she was abducted, and then she just left her phone, left her car, left her food, left her everything, and they found it. I would have left a lot of. I mean, even she was staging it. Shit, I would have took the food. I gotta eat. You know what I mean? But I don't get it. What's her point? What was her end game? What was she set to accomplish from this? I believe, like I say, man, is highly possible. Only thing throwing me for a loop is the searches. But if it wasn't for the searches and things of that nature, man, I would believe that, she is possible she could have got abducted. You're not going to find the baby, because if they used the baby for bait, ain't no missing baby, because it was their baby or somebody they knew baby or something of that nature. What would they plan to do with her when they did abduct her? Like I say, the heat could have got so hot. They was like, no, get her up out of here. Cause but at the same time, man, this is shit. That's wild. I don't know what to say about it.
Well, the parents are standing with her, and it just seems outlandish that a baby would be on the side of the freeway. And she described the baby as a white baby wearing a t-shirt and only a diaper, and that nobody else saw this baby on a freeway that had a lot of traffic. And she also gave a 911 call, and the 911 call, it was very normal. It was very relaxed. She gave details and descriptions of what she saw. And but yeah, the searches are a little bizarre. And the police said that there's no evidence of a crime. So that means that they don't believe her, and that they want to interview her again. And here's a question that no one's been able to answer. Where was she at for these if it was a hoax, if she wasn't kidnapped, where was she for these last 2 days? Where has she been for the last 48 hours? No one seems to be able to answer that question either. And I think that's the key here. And who knows? I gave you that information on the searches because that just came from the chief's press conference. Maybe they're misinterpreting the searches. I don't know. They didn't provide any evidence of these searches. We would have to wait for a trial, if there would ever be a trial. But we just going on the word of the police right now that she did these searches. So FG, without these searches, it seems like this is a very possible scenario.
It's a possible scenario. She down in Hoover, Alabama. I don't see that much. Is what is she, black, white? What is she?
Karlee Russell's a sister.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see the police giving that much help, down in those parts like that, man. You know what I mean? So they not finna use no bunch of resources. Now, the thing that they might hit her with is how much resources was used to look for. If they deem that she was, bullshitting or something like that, they will hit her with a bill to say, you use $50,000, $100,000 worth of resources looking for you, ambulance, police department, fire department, whatever, and they will put her on trial for that bill. You know what I mean? But as far as a crime being committed, you know what I mean? Who can say she really didn't? You can't say she committed a crime by calling 911 saying she saw a baby based on what if she really did see one? You can't prove that. You can't prove that she didn't see one. On the flip side, like I say, man, I believe it's highly possible. Strange thing is like with the searches, but what is that? That could be a coincidence. Like you say, where was she for 48 hours? Who knows? But at the same time, man, her mother nor her mental capacity, when the police interviewed her, they can see if she, seem like she coming down from a drug high, or see if she, got any, how bright she is, you know what I mean? How, but I don't got enough details to really, pinpoint, what even could have happened.
Yeah, one of her searches, according to the police, was how much does an Amber Alert cost? This is prior, so that is an unusual search to do, like a day before this happens. And these are relatively these searches were done close to the incident happening, prior to the incident. So the police actually said in the press conference that these searches are unusual considering these circumstances. But hey, she better get a lawyer. And I don't think she should do another interview with the police, because all they're going to try to do is trip her up on something that she said before, try to, get her in a twist. So she's doing the right thing by not giving that second interview, I believe.
Yeah, no doubt, you know what I mean? But if nothing come out of this, you know what I mean? I think people are learning, new traps and new things that people are doing to set people up, in different areas across the nation, man. You know what I mean? And especially women, you know what I mean? So, just be mindful out there when you guys out there, moving around and you see roadblocks and you see detours and you see certain things, kind of be paying attention, you know what I mean? Because sometimes some of this shit is a trap. It is evil people out there. It is people out there doing something. Only thing I will add to this, Alex, is I believe that if she really was abducted, you know what I mean? I believe that, the heat got turned up so fast that maybe the people who did do it didn't want that kind of heat and let her go. What was their reason for abducting her, in the first place? I don't know. But even if it's even all true. So, man, this is going to be one thing that I think, being that where she was, they probably going to end up blaming her and sweeping it under the rug. But this shit really, truly could have happened.
Well, the police came to Karlee Russell's home after she appeared 2 days later and did that interview in her home. They want her to come down to the station and give an interview. And I wonder if they recorded that interview they did at her home to get her story. But they're not feeling it, man. And I kind of believe that I'm going with the police theory on this, that no crime was committed. And hey, when she was describing her abductors as having orange hair with a bald spot, it's just weird details to give that it seems like maybe she was just under the influence of something.
Well, I thought of that as well, and it seemed like that they would have did a toxicology report, to see if it was anything in her system. That's one of the first things I thought of. Maybe you should so high, man, she just tripped the fuck out, But if this is real, Alex, I don't want to, say that, this couldn't happen, or I don't want to just say, she lying. You know what I mean? I just honestly got to say I don't know. And at the end of the day, man, no matter whether she's in trouble or not, at the end of the day, man, she all right. So, you know what I mean? I gotta say that part right there, that's what's up.
Yeah, I was just looking at my notes. Those searches she did were the same day at 12 p.m. hour. She calls 911 at 9:34 p.m. So, that's kind of like the timeline to just, ponder on, think about that. Are those searches relevant to this investigation? But you're right, though. They got to prove that there was no baby. They got to prove that there was no abduction, and that's difficult to prove. You got to prove the negative.
Right.
That's difficult. But they do have footage of her car on the highway, on the interstate at night, so it's hard to see. But according to her story, someone emerged from the woods and took her. So I'm assuming if they got this footage, you can see her car parked on the highway. Mm-hmm. They could enhance this footage and see if there was a person that came out of the woods. Where did she walk to? Did she just walk away, or was she taken away?
Yeah, it seemed like she should have ran. You see a person, you ran. But don't get me wrong. I drove trucks for years, so I put on the side of some shady highways. Myself. Whether to check something on the truck, and I'm double looking around just based on, man, it's spooky out here. You know what I mean? And a wolf or something can grab you, or So I get what you're saying, but at the same time, man, this a weird. I don't believe they ever going to get to the real truth. I think they gonna see what's going on. You probably never hear from it again. They probably deem her, maybe shit. Who knows, Alex? This one crazy right here.
I think they're gonna arrest her. I think they're gonna charge her with something, maybe a misdemeanor or something. Because the way they did a huge press conference this morning, man, and they wouldn't have spent that much time with the media answering questions. Addressing this if they didn't have a plan going forward. And I believe that plan is to take her into custody for some sort of false reporting. But yeah, That's pretty much all I got on the Karlee Russell story. And I know most people just don't believe her right off the bat. Hey, what's the craziest thing you've ever seen? You've been on these interstates, highways, and freeways probably more than anybody driving that truck. You seen anything crazy on these roads back, during your career?
No, no doubt, Alex. I've seen a bunch of things, bro. I've seen people lose their life right in front of me. I'm seeing, a lot of weird things. I've been in town, Alex, where, you know what I mean, your big bad FG was scared to get out of the truck, bro. Because, some of these towns, homie, and back, like I say, in places in Utah, between Colorado, that people never heard of, and there's not one single black person in this town, bro, where real racism reside, you know what I mean? It's still some places like that, you know what I mean? People that never been there, only been to cities. I've been in a lot of backwoods towns, bro, where I walked in a restaurant before one time, and I mean, literally the restaurant was packed. And the whole place just stopped, Alex, and just stared at me, bro. You know what I mean? And let me know clearly I wasn't wanted. You know what I mean? I've seen this shit before. You know what I mean? So, I've seen so much shit out there on that road, man. I could go on, and that could be a whole episode one day about, things I've seen out there, bro. But shit exists out there. It's really some spooky shit out there. It's really, you stop your ass into some of these towns, man, and get out thinking you finna, put some air in your, these people will do something to you. You know what I mean? These guys got some of these real backwoods dudes that live in the sticks that you will never be found, so I believe it, it's real, so, man, just her saying that, like I say, I don't just not believe it. It's just with those searches that threw me for a loop,
Hey, maybe when you walked into that establishment and everybody was looking at you crazy, they was trying to figure out, is he black or
hell no,
is he not black?
Man, they was looking like, man, hey, this ain't for you. You know what I mean? This ain't for you, bro. And I've been in a couple towns like that. I've been in the town before where, the big brother had to hit the little brother on the shoulder and be like, man, stop staring so hard, and dude was about 12. And I just asked one of the brothers, I said, he never seen a black person before? He said, no. You know what I mean? The dude was 12 years old. You know what I mean? And but you got these towns where 2,000 people, and they got their own everything, and it's 200 miles in the mountains somewhere. In the back of some mountains, they don't move around like that. So that shit really exists. Same way with, like, places in Africa and places in Nigeria where you got tribes that they don't move. You know what I mean? They don't get out and see other things. These places really exist, Alex. So, you got to be careful when you out there on those highways, some of these towns, some of these roads, you know what I mean? And that's in all countries. It ain't just, we ain't just talking about America. We just ain't talking about white. We talking about all countries, you know what I mean? So be careful when you're traveling out there. Yeah. Cause we've even heard of abductions, people going on cruises, people going on, to other countries to visit and end up in the wrong town and get something happen to them.
So FG is giving Karlee Russell the benefit of the doubt until further evidence proves her wrong. But it takes us back to the everything you describing, as spooky as it sounds, it takes us back to the James Byrd incident, which was like 25, 30 years ago, where the brother got dragged by a bunch of racists behind a truck. I think they tied him up and then they just drove him through.
I remember that.
That was James Byrd. And then I remember there was another town in Texas called Jasper. They say you walk through if you're not white and you walking through Jasper, there's a chance you get killed. This is like the 80s and 90s. I don't know if Jasper, I'm not trying to hate on Jasper, Texas in 2023. I don't know if it's changed.
Right.
But there was a time when you walk through Jasper, you better be prepared for what's in store dealing in that racist town. But hey man, where can the people tap in at you, man? I know you got some stuff to take care of.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Tap in with me at FG Unleashed on YouTube, man. We over there. I appreciate it. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, man. Hit them like buttons too. That help. You know what I mean? Also, come over there at F General 1 on Instagram, and I stay over there, talking a little shit. But I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man. And we're gonna have Munchie B. He's gonna be dropping a new podcast next week. So make sure you guys tap in with that. I'm working on the glitches of that. And make sure you're following us on all the podcast platforms, iHeart, Spotify, Google, all of that. Leave us a message, leave us a comment, Instagram is street.and.scholars. And if you want to tap in with me, just hit me up at Alex Alonso 101. And thanks for tapping in with another fire episode of Streets and Scholars. And yeah, we got a whole bunch of folks up in here. I know you wanted to, you probably got to head out, so don't feel no pressure. But
yeah, I see a whole lot. I guess people been watching the news, boy, because Keefe D name up in here a whole lot. You know, people know what's going on. They know, they know they got their opinions. You know what I mean?
I was gonna try to Google his address to see if it was anywhere near that that street. What was the name of that street that they called?
Something I heard it was his wife's house. This
Yeah,
one of the reports said, but yeah, but I'm not, I don't know for sure, but
Wagon Wheel Drive.
Yeah,
anybody could look that up. Don't dox the brother and put his address out there. I just wanted to confirm that it was Keefe D. It's obviously Keefe D. There's nobody else. I mean, he's the only guy left that's surviving in that car of 4 people. You got Orlando Anderson, who was killed in 1998. You got Terrence Brown, he was killed, and then you got Andre, I forget his last name. He died of an illness, so he's the 4th and only survivor of the people in that car.
No doubt, and they also said even if they get somebody on as an accomplice and things of that nature, so they lined it right up to point, in his direction, maybe you just need to, get his defense together, if it is him, and be ready, just prepared in case they do want to come back and, holler at him again, you know what I mean? But I believe they have everything that they need, with the, statements that he's already made, they may, definitely come in and put something on him, you know what I mean? But at the same time, can he work his way up out of this one? Is that something that he gonna be able to do, or this one too big for him?
I think the evidence, the evidence is overwhelming. I don't know if it's overwhelming enough for a trial or a jury, but we all know what happened. But
well, even
the evidence, the evidence existed back then, so I don't know why they waited this long to do it. I think one of the reasons why Vegas didn't want to mess with it is because they were really building that city in the mid-90s to be this like mega attraction for tourists from all over the world, and they didn't want to deal with a murder. But things are different now.
Right, no doubt. But let me ask you this, we're gonna see how it go. I believe they ain't gonna wait too long before they, let us know what they found or what they, what they think about it, or if any charges gonna be dropped. But we'll definitely be here to see, man. That'd be something though after 30 years though, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he shouldn't have wrote that book, but I know he trying to figure out ways to make money. I remember he came up to our podcast. He wanted to do a podcast with us. He was just trying to figure out ways to make money, and he figured, let me write a book. But that book is going to get him. That book is going to be evidence against him, or any revisions that he still has on his computer of that book.
Yeah, that'd be tragic right there if it is something in there that he put, you know what I mean, and that can, bust him upside the head. Yeah, that'd be wild.
But everyone knew he did it even back. Well, he didn't really. He was in the car. Let's just say he was in the car. And then the guy that they got the gun from, a guy from New York named Von Zip, he died. He died a few years ago. Von Zip, I think he had an illness or cancer. So Von Zip is dead, and he was the one that apparently gave, in his confession, in Keefe D's confession, he said that Von Zip slid him the pistol in Vegas to do that.
Hey, well, if it ever come down to it and he on trial for anything, he gonna see what they got. You know what I mean? That's for sure. So I believe whoever they arrest for it, if they arrest somebody, it's gonna be highly publicized. So we probably get to see that firsthand, to see how that go. We talking about Tupac. So you know what I mean? I don't see it not being, readily available for us to see, you know what I mean? All the evidence, everything that's the nature of, just everything, so we gonna relive this probably one more time, Alex, before they, put a nail in the coffin on it.
Hey man, I have a crazy Von Zip story. He was out here in LA and I got into an argument with the dude. I didn't even know who he was. He's not like recognizable by face. He's just recognizable by the name. Mm-hmm. So I get into an argument with him and I'm like, man, let's just take this out to the street. So we walk out to the front, and then Fredro Starr, the rapper, he came up to me. He was like, "Stop, Alex, stop, stop, stop." I was like, "What?" He said, "You don't know who that is?" I was like, "I don't care who that is." He said, "That's Von Zip, man. You better just chill." I was like, "Oh, I'm supposed to be scared because his name's Von Zip," you know. So we actually got into it one night in Hollywood. That was probably 2010 or 11, something like that. But that was crazy. That I didn't know that.
I didn't know Von Zip. Yeah.
Apparently, he used to get water from Keefe D. He took Von Zip's the dude that took water to New York because water is a LA thing. It's a Cali thing.
Man. Them dudes in New York was getting rich off that shit, Alex. Man,
Yeah.
them dudes, all the dudes out taking that, man, them dudes getting rich, homie. I mean, rich.
I believe Von Zip might have been the first person to take water to the East Coast. That's a LA thing.
Dudes, no doubt. But the dudes who was even after him, if he was the first, them dudes were having so much money, man. You know what I mean? I know a couple of them back in the day, man, and them dudes, it was different from that cocaine money, that water money, man. Them dudes was like, one day they be struggling, and the next day they be millionaires. That shit was crazy.
Glizzy said, I almost got bodied. Hey, what's crazy? Von Zip was dressed up in a suit. We was at a little hip hop club. He had on like a velvet blazer. I was like, this dude looked like a pimp. I didn't know who it was. And then Fredro Starr from Onyx. I was hanging out with Fredro. He's like, "Hey man, that's Von Zip, man. You need to chill out. You need to chill." And I was like, I was already full throttle. I was like, I ain't chilling now. It is what it is. But man, Von Zip wouldn't have done nothing. This is LA. He's from Harlem. He's from Harlem. He's from New York. He ain't gonna do nothing to me out here in LA. Although they believe he gave the gun. Oh, that's crazy.
Well, look, bro, I got to get up out of here, man.
I was about to ask you that. All right, y'all. I appreciate everybody for tapping in on the stream. This stream will be available to everybody on Saturday. So if you were fortunate enough to catch the live, we appreciate you. This will be available Saturday, and the podcast will be up as soon as possible on all podcast platforms: Spotify, iHeart, Google. All those different places. So thanks for tapping in. We out.